Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Quick audio visual check. Can you see a beautiful blue screen with the words TachEon Warp, followed by the dulcet tones of my golden vocal cords, connected with nerves to my big genius brain? Hello and happy pre-Thanksgiving. That time of year where, once again, controversy abounds and historians debate what actually happened, and I don't know what to do. They generally err on the side of poor human choices. And so when there are two stories to be told, I'll generally believe the one where someone with bigger guns took advantage of someone with none. That story sounds right to me. If your household is like mine, you're in the United States, you're either preparing to go visit crazy people that you would ordinarily never give the time of day to, or you're presently surrounded by those people, in which case you're going to make it. It's going to be okay. It's really great to be back with you guys. Thank you. And thank you to Jacob, who's been helping out with the events over the summer into the fall here. He's been a valuable resource for me and for many of you as well who've been taking advantage of the times that we've had, that you've had to order submitted, that you've had to mentor and train with him. So thank you for that, and I hope that you've gotten quite a bit of knowledge from him. We're here today not to look at my big bald head, but to basically touch base and discuss what's been happening with the fruit of my life's work, together with my best friend and partner, Ron, whom many of you know and have been trained by. We have spent the last 15 years dedicating ourselves to the study of time in regards to market movements. And so it's fascinating to me, the process we've set in place to build credibility with those of you who are customers and are thinking about becoming customers. And I want to go over that process with you so you can see and understand for yourself what it is we do and why we're different from other quote unquote gurus and garbage indicator vendors. We are talking today about the TachEon Warp predictive time software for traders in use by futures, forex, options, and stock, as well as cryptocurrency traders now more and more. And our 30-second elevator commercial essentially focuses on the fact that we believe markets are rigged and operate more like casinos than other business ventures. We believe that the people who consistently make exorbitant amounts of money every year in terms of corporate profits and bonuses don't play fair, as evidenced by the fines that they pay every year to continue to do what they do. And so we've built a program for you that tracks the people who push, tracks the bullies, the very wealthy bullies. And we believe to be profitable, you have to fight fire with fire. You have to move when they move and not stand in front of their tanks like some protester in Tiananmen Square. You have to be behind them in your own tank, prepared to move when they move, or you'll be left handing a giant pile of stinky dookie. So to prove this to you, we output 40% of the signals every week in a web page that describes what the software is anticipating might happen. We send that email to you in advance, and then we come together 2 days later to see if this thing works or not. And so just to illustrate that process, every Tuesday, usually not a holiday week normally, we'll send out those behavioral forecasts for Wednesday and Thursday. Then we come back together to look and see, was the signal profitable? And so we'll take a look and we'll have a chance, for example, to examine the signals up here at 1055 and 1150. We're up as much as $20 or $1,000 per contract. A moment ago, I took out half of my position, and now I'm waiting for the 1225 signal using times that were sent not Tuesday this week, but Monday, to compensate for the shorter week with Thanksgiving on the way. And so this is a way that I want to build credibility with you. We believe that banks like us to not believe that this is happening. As I've said in past demonstrations, a very good friend of mine and a former pastor used to say, the devil loves when you don't believe in him. The devil loves it when you don't believe in him. Now, whatever you believe about that in terms of true faith versus mythology, the concept is the same. Banks like it when you sit down and think you have a fighting chance against their machinations, their football-sized server farms with fire hose diameter-sized fiber optic cables, their algorithms which have been programmed to titillate and tickle your basest human responses and emotions, triggering you to take trades that go immediately in the opposite direction. And our experience prior to founding this company was no better in the indicator and education space. Most of the people, and I believe the word most is entirely accurate, most of the people in the space sending you emails and calling your phone late at night are well-honed, polished marketing machines that have cleverly disguised, rehashed, and regurgitated indicators. And they convince you, if you just have this tool that's existed since 1986 for free on a forum, if you look hard enough, if you just pay $95 or $500, all of your dreams will come true. And pretty soon you figure out you're in for 10, 20, 50 grand. And you're long since past the line in the sand you drew when you started. Can I get an amen from the peanut gallery? What's up, Christopher Camacho, new customer? And so we're very cynical, but our background is in engineering, and so whining and moaning and complaining never really solved a problem. So we put our skills to task and built something for you that after 13 years has accumulated a 4.8, I think we're up to a 4.9 out of 5 Trustpilot rating. It works because the world is the way we say it is. It's not fair. So when you look at the markets, you're looking at them the same way my mother-in-law looks at QR codes. What is that? What is that thing? It looks like a Jackson Pollock painting. I don't understand. There's data here. There's information. There's embedded and encoded patterns. And It takes the right tool to filter the noise and the chaos and see the underlying patterns. They're there. In the natural world, in the physical synthetic world, patterns abound. And so we built a tool that presumed banks were cheating. We built a tool over 12,000 lines of code now after 13 years of development that says, I think banks push markets up and down lately at key times. What are they? And so we're back to this experiment. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to interrupt me. This is not a sermon. There will be no altar call at the end, although I will ask you, if you haven't already, to consider joining up with our small rebel alliance here on the moon of Endor. We are every day attempting to take tens of thousands of dollars away from the empire. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank. And so we're excited if you're considering joining our Rebel Alliance. What is this experiment? How do I prove to you that the things that I'm saying are true without using the charlatanesque mannerisms and manipulations that other vendors use to convince you it's for real? And so it's worth noting that most of the vendors that I got emails from when I started look like this. It was a guy in a headline saying, learn to trade. Trade from anywhere in the world. If you trade with us, you can trade on a beach in Puerto Vallarta, in Baja. How many of you got that email from one of these vendors? Or it's a guy with a Ferrari and they're saying the same thing. I used to be a poor schlep like you until I got whatchamajigger trading, until I got who's it, what's it, zero lag, something or other. You're like, oh, it's a guy in a Ferrari. Oh. Or my favorite was this one, man with blonde wife. And you get a picture and you're like, I used to be lonely and date poor, homely people until I got get rich fast's indicator. And now I beat the women off me with a stick on my way to Mauritius every year. All right, these are the things that we've been accepting as normal for most of our lives. This is the reason why spam filters were created, I believe, the onslaught of those messages. Spend 10 minutes on a Facebook page like I do getting ads from other vendors. It's like reading the funny papers. I spend at least an hour a week mocking vendors on their Facebook ads and encouraging people to ask questions the vendors never want asked. It's fun for me, but not fun for you. So to prove to you I'm not in that crowd, every week I hand out via email. I'm going to put a copy of the link in case you didn't open the mail from me or if it's stuck in your spam folder. In your GoToWebinar chat box, you'll see the link. I've just posted it. backtothefuturetrading.com/warp-webinar-forecasts/. And if you're following from home and you want to look at that, I'll blow it up and you can freeze the video right here and type that in at home and see what we're all talking about. And so for Wednesday, today, this was what the computer warned us might happen when we arrived at these times in the future. So the name of our company is a parody of that famous movie trilogy written by Robert Zemeckis, directed by Robert Zemeckis, Back to the Future. How many of you remember when Marty goes to the future and he gets the sports almanac? Come on, you guys must remember that. Marty sees the infamous sports almanac in the pawn store and he takes it home so he can bet on all the games because he knows what the scores will be in the future. And Doc says, that's a bad idea. And turns out Biff gets his hands on it and uses it to build Donald Trumpian estate with casinos and hotels. That's what this software is doing. It's telling us, excuse me one second while I exit
order filled,
the trade.
Order canceled.
It's telling us in advance the times that these things are likely to happen. Yes, there is a sale. Giannis, hello. I have an answer for you. And if you stick to the end, you'll get your answer again. This chart is the answer to a question posed to a 12,000 line of code juggernaut. When are the banks moving up and down lately? So all of these times on the top of the screen were discovered to be recurring cheating times. Times where banks were being naughty and pushing prices lower. And then the times on the bottom, signified by white lines, were also naughty times. And the computer discovered that these times lately are being manipulated and prices are being pushed higher at those times. Does everyone understand that? We've had these signals. I've sent them out to you since Monday. They were sent out on Monday for Wednesday's market. Now, I want you to wrap your coconut noodle around that for a moment. It's kind of bananas if you think about it. We've had these times since Monday. And now we arrive on Wednesday to see if anything of importance took place at those times. Is everyone following and tracking with me so far? Okay, you are rock stars. Fantastic. Those of you that came to the webinars in the past, I'm just going to reference a book here before I go too deep. And I want to go over what's actually happening at the times that I sent out to you and why I would go short up here at 10:55 and get out of the trade at 12:25. What did these signals produce for us today from the beginning of the Euro session to the US session? And these are the same times that we were just looking at together. So one thing of note, I'm looking at the signals coming up on the right-hand side of my chart. We are the only company that tells you in the future when to look for a signal. Raja, great question. I actually have an answer. I'm going to show you that answer where I actually look smarter than I sound right now, which is a near impossible task. But trust me, my genius has no bounds. And we're going to learn about the language of time and the words that we can speak to understand why that was a short. What I want you to understand is that the signals right now are plotting in the future. And so these are the times that we're waiting for, and we have them all ready for the rest of today, Friday, Monday, Tuesday of next week. They're already carved in stone. So we have the times in the future now. Right with the bigger text, Mike. Okay, and then over here is what happened at those times. What happened at those times? Now, when we're looking at these histograms, and by the way, everything that's printing on my chart right now, I'm going to right click and get rid of anything, Raja, that I drew by hand. So everything that's on the chart right now, Harris, was automatically drawn by the software, not by me. I'm going to give you guys a book right now. I don't know why it's not in the handout section. It usually is, but I'm going to give it to you so you can have it and read it if you haven't already. I can hit share, copy link. The link is copied. Now, Raja, can you tell me if this Dropbox link shows up in your chat box? Sometimes GoToWebinar is cantankerous. All right, sweet. Inside of time, there are patterns. What do I mean by that? I mean, right now, if I came to you guys and I said, what is this pattern in trading? How many of you know what this pattern is? What would you call it? That's right, it's a double top. You kind of know what it means and what to do. Then there are some patterns that are a little more complicated. So we can have a pattern that goes like this, and then goes like that. And then in the middle, those of you that are mega big brain experts, how many of you know what this pattern is? You get a gold star if you shout it out. This is called, exactly, this is called an evening star. And if you go online and you type evening star pattern, and we look at the images, ta-da! An evening star pattern is a reversal pattern. And when they occur, the market usually falls down. So inside of timing signals, Raj, there are regular plain old signals where the buying pressure signal or the green dot usually pushes up. It's not particularly flashy, it's just a regular buy time. That's a pattern one. And then when you get to a selling pressure signal, Raj, it usually does what the chart shows here. Drops down, or it goes sideways for a little while in an uptrend, like pouring water on a fire. If there's a hard uptrend and you get to a selling pressure time, it'll consolidate where people take profit. Well, when we start to see different patterns, the time signals have a tendency to reverse. Let me show you what I mean. Right here is a pattern 4. Raj, I learned over the course of 13 years how to speak time fluently. And when we arrive at a selling pressure time at a brand new structural low, memorize this like a double top or a doji pattern, right? When we see this at a selling pressure time, you know what usually happens? It goes up in the opposite direction. A pattern 2 turns into a pattern 4. The polarity of the battery is backwards. Positive is negative and negative is positive. I wrote a whole book about it as I became more and more fluent in the language. And then Raj, check this out. When we arrive at a buying pressure time and that signal is a higher high, you know what it tends to do? Richard, Michael, when you arrive at a buying pressure time and it's already at a tippy top high, it tends to flip and change phases. It changes polarity and goes in the other direction. This tends to happen a lot just before a holiday. It happens during FOMC announcements when the president or the Fed chairman is talking. Very specific times. But pattern 4s and pattern 5s are words in a language of time. So the histogram is a starting point, and the software is interpreting the language as we occur. So Raj, just to show you that I'm not full of cockadoodie, I am sans caca and duty, I want to show you what that meant for us today. And I want to compare the patterns to what actually took place. So Raj, can you see the signal at 8:50 on the left-hand side of my screen? Right here, 8:50. Now look, you see the prior swing right there, and it pulls up and it comes down, and 8:50 is the lowest, teeniest, tiniest candle, right? Well, that looks a lot like our mechanical definition of a pattern 4. And what do pattern 4s tend to do? They reverse. Something that was negative turns into a positive. And so at 8:50, if you believe that was a reversal long, you could have put your stop right below the candle and held it till the next time. Does that make sense? The software is calculating all of this for you, by the way. You don't have to have a tremendous noggin like I do. We've built the intelligence into the indicator so you don't have to think. Thinking while you're trading is a bad idea. That's when mistakes get made. So let's get rid of all my scribble scrabble. And now I want to go back to Raj's question. Why did you go short? That was a crazy thing. Well, let's come over and take a look at the signal now at 10:55. Raj, you see that blue arrow right there in the hollow circle above our heads? We had just put in a high. The market was lagging. It wasn't going any higher. And I saw that and I said, I wonder if this were people getting stopped out right there. When I saw that big wick, somebody flew too close to the sun, and Goldman and JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank descended from the heavens and slayed everybody who tried to go higher. And then we rolled up on that pattern 5. Oh, the risk is now right above that candle if I'm a counter trend trader. And so Raj, I was short right here. But I also knew there was another short signal coming at 11:50. Think of it like a left jab and an uppercut. Punch, punch. Oh, punch, kick. Ah! I had two negative signals coming back to back. And so I was short with little risk. My risk was from the close of this candle to the high. My reward potentially was where? All the way back to the bottom. This is as far as it could have gone. So that's at least 3 to 1 at a time that I'm expecting things to drop. Does that make sense? So the biggest moves of the day were marked by times that we've had since Monday. Right here and right here were the low of the session and the high of the session. And then the biggest single move down was our 1150 signal. It paused and stopped falling at 1225. And Raj, if it's not a pattern 4 at 1250, I'm expecting an even lower drop, just like it dropped at 8 o'clock this morning. So can you see how this starts to become a powerful ally in a market that's riddled with manipulation? Now, those of you who've been with me for a minute, you know that I don't like taking counter trend trades. A lot of stuff has to happen. Yeah, so Raj, look what this thing is telling me. Let's go back and look at the ES. This is a great thing because you're using advanced analysis and I want you to lean into that. So Raj, at 1225, what were we expecting to happen? What has historically happened at this time? A bottom, buying pressure. This signal is here because almost always lately, the market is pushed up on Wednesday at 1225. Raj, does it look like it's lighting the world on fire right now? Do those buyers seem enthusiastic about the prospects of forming a brand new high? No, but it's holiday eve, but look, there were some pretty big moves over here, right? So what this tells me is right now, the buyers are weak. Nobody's interested. It's supposed to go up. It's supposed to go this way. So Roger, when I get to 1250, who was in charge at 1150 at the last sell signal? The sellers. How far did they drop it? Well, from the open of that candle to the bottom, they dropped it $21. There's a possibility of that happening again at 1250, isn't there? There's a consolidation phase. Now, we also have market structure to reference. If we go back about 150 years, we know how markets move. Let me show you what I mean by that. This was a great observation, by the way. Thank you, Raja. Where is it? There it is. Raj, this is a 150-year-old market structure chart. This is how markets move. We have a top with divergence and then it drops, and then the market falls and falls and falls. It's called a distribution phase. And the inventor of this, or the observer initially, was a man named Richard Wyckoff. Back in 1908, the editor of Ticker and Investment Digest. Now, Raj, do you see that telltale wiggle waggle right here at the green? Right after a big red drop? That's a 150-year-old pattern. And guess what? It's playing out right now, live on our market chart. And so when we come back and look at that signal, you can compare it, and there's our drop, and there's our sideways movement at 1225. Yeah, so who knows what will happen? However, it's following the time sequence that we've had since when, guys? Since Monday. The markets are manipulated. Now, if you have two eyes, you've been noticing that things are more expensive. And in the States especially, the price of petrol or gasoline has been coming down. Where I live, it's almost down to $3. We're at the $3.10, $3.15 level. One of the gas stations is promoting $1.99 for Thanksgiving week. A company called Sheetz. So Raj, here's where I like to talk about the way I trade these signals. I look for setups in the direction of the trend. So when I do that, check this out. This is so cool. When the trend is up, and in the case of my workspace, I use 120 period EMA, Echo Michael Alpha. When the EMA is climbing and rising, it turns white on my screen. It can be any color you want. And so, Raja, when that happens, I enter at the close of the time signal. Yeah, it's 120 on all my charts. It's been 120 for 13 years. But check it out. I enter at the close of the candle, and I hold the trade until the opposite signal, the time where selling is supposed to happen. My stop is 1.5 average true range values, ATR, away from the low of the candle. So that's a dynamic stop. As the market slows down, the stop is smaller. The market speeds up and volatility increases, the stops are larger, right? But the potential reward is proportional. It gets bigger as well. When I arrive at 642 in this example, Raj, my stop is 1.5 ATR values away. And I enter at the close of the candle, and I exit by the close of the opposite time, where selling or profit taking usually takes place lately. Then at 712, 1.5 ATR values from the low, I enter at the close, and Raja, I get out at the opposite signal. These time windows are opening and closing, and we're the only program on planet Earth that tells you when those windows are opening and closing in the future, potentially. So the same thing, of course, holds true in a downtrend. Here are the signals that I provided to you on Monday for Wednesday's crude oil futures chart. And so that moving average was climbing going into the open of the European session. However, it did not stay up forever. Here's what I emailed everyone and posted out there on our Facebook page for you to follow. 933, 954, 1024. All of these blue lines were times we were expecting shorts. And so if the moving average is falling, there it is, 918, 933, 954. Those are the times, Raja, where I have windows. So from the open of the European market, I have a selling pressure window from 527 to 551. I have a selling pressure window from 615 to 706, 718 to 736, and so on. Does that make sense, everybody? These selling windows are opening, and if the banks do what they've done in the past, boy, I want to be there when they do it. I want to grab a shekel or two while the vault is open. So if I play these signals out, it's plus 98 plus 20, plus 38, plus 25, plus 28. And while we've been sitting here conducting our educational business, enter at the close, exit at the next signal, another 34 ticks. This is the system. These are the rules that I told you about on the page that we'd be following. So you know that I'm not making this up as we go. On Monday, we had access to this page and it said the following. We'll also be showing how the signals can be traded using one of two simple entry rules called signal with trend. And I alluded to, put a link to the video that describes what I'm showing you now before the webinar. What's my stop going to be? 1.5 ATRs with a 7 period, 120 EMA. And when I apply that to a very volatile, unpredictable market, 120, 50, 75, 200, 230 ticks is about $2,000 plus available per contract. $2,000 per contract with CL. So there's a difference between the signals and a setup. If you want to trade tops and bottoms, catch knives, there's a method for doing that. I think if 60% of our net profitable customers trade this way, this should be the system or the setup that I demonstrate to you if you don't already have a trading system. Does that make sense, everybody? So coming into the webinar this morning, right before it opened, Raj, I kept track of those signals in the NASDAQ from the open till 3:30 yesterday and today. And while this is a back test, historically speaking, I want you to see over the course of 2 days, if you started with a $5,000 account with one contract, you had a probability, a hypothetical chance of getting to $8,000 using the system that I'm teaching you. So if we go back into yesterday's market at the times that we were watching, Raj, can you see how the signals in the NASDAQ yesterday match what I've been trying to teach you in terms of, where is that little bugger? In terms of the signals with trend. Come here, little fella. There's the example from my webinar, and here are the signals that actually took place on the NASDAQ yesterday. And when I add all of those results up, I have an equity curve with a positive expectancy. Are there winners and losers? Yes. But I have a net edge. There's an edge that's net profitable. Customers have sent us their results over the years, and across hundreds and thousands of data points, we can see that the model has a positive expectancy. This is from a customer from 2 years ago, back in 2020. And we can see on the E-mini S&P using signals that are historical, times that we've known about in the future, there's a statistically relevant edge, meaning this works. 1,000 signals has a margin of error approaching 2 to 3%. So we're in the ballpark. Any questions about that? Any questions about what I'm showing you here? The difference between the raw signals and applying a rules-based setup to this powerful tool. If you don't have an existing trade set up, if you're not watching other things and looking for confirmation with this, you can use a very basic 2-indicator setup. Simple, easy, predictive. Now, side note, there are 3 things that happen consistently when our users use this software. Consistently over 13 years. Number 1, overtrading. It stops. You have 5 times, 10 times in a session, and you're done. If you trade 30 times, it's not because of the signals, it's because you have a problem. Applying the rules, Raja. If you want to take every signal, you'll probably be poor in about 4 hours. You have to have a back-testable strategy. If you're using this, you don't overtrade anymore because you know what times you're going to be looking for setups, and that's it. Number 2, your stops are smaller. The trade is either going to work now or it's not. That happens every time someone gets the tool. Number 3, and I think this is the most important one, your profits can run. I know how long of a window I have for the market to go. How many of you get in a profitable trade and the chorus of opera voices goes off in your head? You should take profit now. You're a bad trader. You should take your money now before your wife finds out you didn't. I say you should get out. You lose our money fast. Right? All those voices go through your head. And you give 5 or 6 ticks and you take it off and it goes 50, 60 ticks. Now you have a reason to stay in the trade. The window is from 234 to 239. Can you hang on 4 more minutes? These are the side effects of using our software, which is predictive, proactive, not reactive. When your software is reactive, when you're trading price action or some zero lag whatchamajigger, or following some Russian or British accented guru, you're always on your heels, you're reacting, you're making bad survival decisions. Okay. Now I alluded to the fact that this works on multiple time frames, right? And so I wanted to show you a few examples of some instruments that we're following for our customers right now. Apple being a big question mark. What's going on in the stock market? And so the last dozen or so signals are on the screen right here. And if you're an options trader and you're looking at longer term swing positions, you're looking for calls and puts, we already can see in the future what dates are scheduled, discovered to be potential bull runs. We can see what times are scheduled to be sell-offs or profit-taking sessions. So Raj, that same pattern you and I were looking at a moment ago, the market is going sideways right now, right here, from 1118 to 1128 next week. There's not much selling in Apple going on, which means come Monday, there's a pretty good chance we're going to see a rally. That's Apple. We can come over here and take a look at my favorite one to watch lately. That's Twitter. Love my boy Elon Musk. He will go down in history as one of the greatest market manipulators of all time. He is, I believe, destined to become elected to the Carnival Hall of Fame. Twitter, for sure. Twitter's supposed to be going down, right? What's happening here? Connections. Let me lock this in right there. And reload all historical data. There we go. So these were the moves that were expected in the past. And you can see what's happened at them. When we go back to my boy's big company, there's which one? This one is Tesla. So Raj, on a daily time frame, I want you to see those patterns that you learned earlier, pattern 4, and right at the high before the drop in Tesla was a pattern 5. Again, you don't have to memorize it. The software reminds you, sir, we've approached a pattern 5, and we're expecting a devastatingly long sell-off. Oh, okay. Well, how long am I going to hold my puts until October 13th? And at October 14th, 13th, the software goes, hey, we got a pattern 4. Okay. And then on the 14th, we had another pattern 2, a sell-off. You could have put more puts and shorted Tesla again. For how long? Until the 29th. These windows are here. This works for Euro US dollar, pound yen, ruble dollar, Ethereum, Bitcoin futures, anything in Coinbase that we can analyze, gold, oil, home heating oil, all of the things, wheat, soybean, corn, everything that's volatile and moving. What are the reasons for the stop outs? The reasons for the stop outs is because we're immersing ourselves into a statistical game. The only person in recent history that had a 100% track record was named Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff had a 100%, he had a 100% track record because it was a Ponzi scheme. So ultimately, Raja trading is a numbers game. When we strip away all of the fashion and the gleam, we're left with the question, what is your statistically relevant edge? What helps you win more often than you lose? If someone tells you they have an 80 or a 90% win rate, they're lying. Or they're risking 100 ticks to make 10. Either case, it's unsustainable. I know traders that have a 25% win rate that make $250,000 per year. I know traders that have a 70% win rate that risk $1 to make $1. The edge is the one that speaks to you and says, we can do this. I believe in this edge. And so our belief as we started is banks are rigging markets. If you believe that, then this is your edge. And over a period of time, you have a positive expectancy. Over the course of 2 days in the NASDAQ, we had a positive expectancy. The problem is most of you have an equity curve that looks like this, or it's like this. Roger, would you say that's true? I'm trying to give you an edge that does this based on a concept that aligns with your observations of the world, that it's not fair and someone is rigging the game and cheating. There is no 100%. There's no Santa Claus, there's no Bigfoot, no unicorns with skittle poop. It doesn't exist. And so being able to predict when the moves will occur in the future having the state of mind that is now comfortable and relaxed, and you're prepared, and you're waiting for the sells, you're waiting for the buys, you're not over trading, you're keeping your stops small, you're letting your winners run. You're now in the top 5 or 10% of traders in the world. Our customers pass their funded accounts. They're passing combines with Apex Trading and Lilu and Earn to Trade and Top Step Trader. They're passing these tests because they have a statistically relevant edge. That's right. That's right. Any other questions? And one other thing I wanted to show you. Raj, here's what I'm going to say to you. What did I tell you would happen at 12:50 a few moments ago? Everybody in this room, there's a whole bunch of you. What were we looking to have happen at 12:50? Raj, what happened at 12:50 where I drew the line? How did I know that? Could have gone up, but it didn't. On the close of the candle, if you had your stop one tick above the high, how far did the candle go in your direction? So far, out of a possible 20 points, it went $13, $14. That's $500, $600 per contract. In front of you, live, in front of you. Show me someone else that can do that, and I will worship with you at their altar. It doesn't exist. Their brains are inferior in size and breadth and complexity to my genius noggin. And here's why. I don't believe in Santa Claus anymore. I don't believe there's a tool that tracks volume or price action or order flow or candle patterns or fill in the blank. I bought them all. I've sat at the feet of every guru, people who wore their jackets from the stock exchange in their videos. I sat up live with people in their marketing offices and watched them through webcams at 5 o'clock in the morning. I've paid thousands of dollars and I've discovered something. It's all crap. It's one giant marketing machine. I bought something for my family this past week and it got here and I plugged it in and I'm having all sorts of problems. And when I went to review it and look at what people's experiences were, I found out something. The company pays people to post reviews all over Facebook. And when they do, they get free stuff. And they buried all of the small customers that were having horrible negative reviews. It was a marketing juggernaut. Huge company who had manipulated the system. That's why we work with Trustpilot. All of the reviews you see are from actual customers with actual receipts. No fake reviews. We can't delete any of them. We don't have control. We pay someone money to keep us honest. And it's a 4.9 out of 5. The markets are rigged. It's not fair. And there's a reason it's hard. Most of you are smart, intelligent people, professionals, entrepreneurs. You're great at everything in life except trading without this tool, and you stink. Every one of your trades, I hear your stories all the time. Michael, I just lost $20,000 on AMC. I just lost 30 grand on GameStop. I was listening to this guy. Do you know this guy, Michael? Do you know this lady? I don't care about anybody. If my mom had another website, I wouldn't follow what she was telling you. You're playing on an unlevel field. Because Raj, after 13 years, that's what they do. Why are you only looking back a few weeks instead of years and years? They cover their tracks and they change them. Have you ever heard of something called the Enigma machine in World War II? How many of you know what the Enigma machine was? The Germans were winning the war. And the United States and its allies were having a hard time because the Germans had found a way to encode their communications. And Raj, they had a typewriter. And they would type out the messages. And they would use those codes to send messages to each other from the front lines to the command centers. And in the radio transmissions, they would tell people each week which knob to turn of these three knobs, 25, 14, 6. And Harris, when those numbers were activated, it changed what letters printed on the paper when they punched it out. And Raj, every week, Roger, they changed those numbers and they couldn't figure out what the codes were. It took Alan Turing and a team of computer scientists building one of the first computers to decode it. And if you followed the movie, they realized that they had to use the same letters every week at the end of the message, Heil Hitler. And once they realized that, they were able to reverse the code and crack it. But Raj, they were changing the code every week. So when we analyze the software, goes back and looks into the past, we found that if you look at a year's worth of data, it doesn't work because they change the times each week. So it'll never be 100%, but gosh, we get close. This is how most of you were trading before you found us. My volume says it should go up here. My order flow says there's weakness here. There's divergence here. My MACD is falling. And Goldman Sachs goes, yeah, I don't care about any of those things. I'll take some of your money, please. No, it has to go up. How many of you have prayed in the middle of a trade? Jesus, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, if you make the markets rise, I will go to temple. I will go to church next week. I will be a good man. I did that about 12 years ago. I was so upset. The markets don't care. The banks don't care. They're carnivores. They want your money. So our customers do something different. We draft them. We pull behind the institutions and let them suck our orders into profits. 100% of the time? No. We're not a Ponzi scheme. We're a statistically relevant edge. And so each week, positive month, more trades, positive week, because we're following the people who move the markets. We're not following an indicator that your dad used to trade in 1987. Stuff doesn't work. It's a whole new world. All right. What about this Black Wednesday stuff? Well, the program we're talking about is our flagship product called TachEon Warp. We like to name things after sci-fi shows and movies, and TachEon is an adaptation of a word used in Star Trek. And so Warp is the program everybody starts with. It's the one that most of you stop and end with. It is a wonderful tool that pairs well with existing trading systems or standalone system like I've shown you here today. Flux, Raja, was the original program that we started out with 2009. And it's morphed, it's evolved into this new program. So if you look here this week at the link I've just pasted in the GoToWebinar chat box, there's a buy now link at the bottom of the page. And you'll see that this thing, if you click it, you get a little closer to owning it, but there's an annoying pop-up. We have a live trading room that meets Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of every week from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's normally $200 a month, $50 a week, or about $15 a day, 1 ES tick per day. And when you purchase that, when you first get the software, it's only $149. You can cancel that subscription anytime. Those of you that enjoy hands-on display, live teaching in real live markets to pair with our video tutorials, that would be a great resource for you, but it's not necessary. If you go to our checkout and move through our purchase agreement, you're going to click on I agree to the terms and conditions, and right here there's a place to put a promo code. WARP, WAR, capital letters, P750. 75Z. WARP 750 takes $750 off of the price. Included with that are 2 computer licenses, lifetime updates, white glove installation, video archive access for life, from basic to advanced training videos on all aspects of the software. You're also connecting yourselves to a thriving trading community. Those of you that are here today, stay tuned. I'm building a Skype group for Warp in addition to our groups for Aurora and Force, so you can communicate with each other easily. You're also working with a company that has a 4.9 out of 5 Trustpilot rating, and we've been in business for over 13 years. Made in America. Support via Skype, telephone, email among the 4 of us here, as well as access to pro staffers, customers who are using the software live in the markets that can work with you, available for training and mentoring. WARP, I'll make a different color so you can see it. Capital W, capital A, capital R, capital P as in Papa, Papa Smurf, 750. That is our Cyber Wednesday offer. This runs on NinjaTrader. NinjaTrader has ports, APIs that plug into a bunch of different connections. So if we look on the connection manager here, you'll see that we have access to Interactive Brokers data, TD Ameritrade data, forex.com data, eSignal, Continuum, or Coinbase. All of those data feeds will plug into the NinjaTrader platform. If you don't have NinjaTrader as a platform, do not let that be an obstacle between you and using this software to turbocharge, for lack of a better word, your trading results. In my opinion, if Ninja isn't your stock platform, the connection that I'm using is Kinetic, Kinetic, Kinetic. They have a monthly data package that gives you over 500 instruments live in the markets, no delay. And that's what I've been using here today. WARP 750000. All right, listen to me, you crazy pants. Does anyone have any questions about this? Speak now or forever hold your pizza. End of year sale. Many of you have been waiting for this. Save a few extra bucks to get your wife that thing she's been thinking about. Get your husband that football jersey that's too much money. Now is the time to save. Okay, but this disappears pretty quickly. Those of you that are customers, that have friends and family that have been waiting for this, let them know. Ring the Quasimodo bell. Now is the time. Yes, Harris, of course. We have training sessions available with myself, my partner, or the pro staffers that are available who've qualified for funded accounts. There's so much training available that you'll be sick of our voices. We do too much training. No, thank you. This is a good question. We are here just to give you some sense of whether or not the people who've bought the software have experienced those types of things. Harris, if you go to our site, again, these are a collection of people that have actually bought the software, and they'll all tell you the same thing. The training is pretty bananas. And so you're not going to be stuck. I answer my phone, I answer my emails, I answer my Skypes. Ron answers his phone and emails and Skypes. You're going to be freaked out a little bit when we actually answer the phone because most of us weren't used to that before we found our home here. All right, I've taken up a lot of your time here today. I appreciate it. I value your time. I understand that it's not something I have access to. I'm not privileged to it. And it's important to you that I not waste it. So if you're ready to move forward, you can move forward. If you're not, no worries, man. We can still be friends. But I've dedicated my life to this. This is all I study. I've grown duller in my other engineering genres. It's harder for me to design machinery now and fabricate using welders and 3D printers, and my carpentry skills are a little rough around the cut edges. But I don't think there's anyone on earth who knows as much about time as I do in markets, and I don't say that lightly. I haven't met somebody yet who knows more than I do. And when I do, I will again stop and worship at that altar with you as well. But so far, it's lonely up here on the top. I can teach you how to do this and how to use it. And that's the most important thing. I know that I can teach you. I know that I can get you to the point where you're ready to give us a 4- and 5-star review. And I welcome that opportunity. I challenge you to see if that won't happen to you like it's happened to the other customers. Giannis, if there's anything else you're interested in along those lines, there's a guy named David who's going to reach out to you, and he'll be able to tell you about that stuff. But the answer is yes. Yeah, he'll have all that stuff. I'm actually putting it together today and sending it out to the other customers. So if there's something else on your menu you'd like to push down your gullet into your belly and enjoy, we'll take care of you. I love all of you. Thank you for your support. You've made the last 13 years impactful. We have helped 3,500 traders in a bleak, devastating trading world, successful and happy and confident. And I owe that in a large part to you guys. Thank you for supporting us from day one, for telling your friends and family and your parents and your mom and your next door neighbor. We need that. We don't market. We don't sell email lists to get contacts and things like that. So thank you for your support. Appreciate all of you, and I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We're grateful for you. Sincerely and honestly, thank you for your support, and God bless to all of you. Have a great afternoon. If you need me, you can email me. If you get a call or an email from my associate David, give him a shout, call him back. He's a great guy, and he's going to help you onboard and make it smooth and seamless for you. Take care, Jim. Thank you, Harris. Thank you, Raja. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. You keep my giant genius brain sharp and focused, and I love that. I appreciate those comments, and thank you for coming here today. Everyone have a great afternoon. Happy hunting out there, and if you're using the software and you need any help, please email me and let us know, and we'll get you situated. Thanks again, everybody. Take care.